Hey folks, this is Jake Davis with my third video of the day, and now I'm going to do a retro review for Creepshow 2. Now, back in November of 2019, I did a retro review of the original Creepshow, which is what I still would say is one of maybe the most visually compelling horror films ever made. I even said in that video, which is one of my favorite videos of mine, to be honest with you, especially when it comes to getting to research it and stuff like that. But I even said in that video something along the lines of, the other the two sequels, not so much. No need for a retro review for those. Yet, nevertheless, here we are. I decided to do this just because I sat down and watched the movie actually twice over the last weekend just because it was just so bad. Worth a good gag. It's really bad. I've been on a shit flick kick lately, man. I don't know why I've been into watching bad movies lately, but that's what I'm going through right now. Maybe because I skimped on Lent this year. Anyhow, okay, so it's most important to point out that this movie, until I did my research, I didn't even realize this film came out in fucking theaters. This is utter embarrassment. It's not a classic. It's not going to make classic on this. It's an embarrassment. Instead of 5 stories, we got 3. So you lose 40% of your structure. There's no comic book style in the visuals and the photography, so you lose all of your style. And since neither Stephen King wrote the script or George A. Romero directed the film, you lose all of your hook. It's just still a King story. But, yeah, it sucks. This is bad. This is a bad movie. The first story is the great George Kennedy, Academy Award winner, Dragline. Go watch my Cool Hand Luke retro review. That's a great one. Great. Fuck that. Go watch Cool Hand Luke. What the hell am I talking about? Watch Cool Hand Luke. And Dorothy Lamour, who back in her day was probably one of, if not the finest woman in all of Hollywood. I kid you not. But they are a mom and pop, run themselves a mom and pop store in the desert. And, they're on the verge of bankruptcy, starvation, all this kind of stuff. Old Indian man comes in. He gives them, trinkets and jewels from their tribe to pay their debt, and they don't want to take it. I cannot take this from your people. I will not accept that. But out of respect for you, to avoid shaming you, because that's what it would be. I will accept it as collateral for now. I'll hold on to this for you, for that sake. So I will protect it. And that's the agreement they make. Immediately after, the old man's nephew and 2 of his friends, a rich white boy and a fat white boy, fatso and rich boy, and Pretty Sam, he comes in and they terrorize the couple. They take anything they can, any snacks, any food. There's no cash there. And then when they go to take the trinkets, everything escalates. He's trying to talk about it. This is your people's life savings. You can't just take this and run off to Hollywood so you can get a blowjob from a porn star kind of situation. And and he kills the old lady. He guns her down, murders her, and then kills the old man. They decide they're gonna run off. And the evils of this moment awakens the cigar store Indian statue outside of their mom and pop store. I should point out the first story is called Old Chief Woodenhead. Yikes. And he wakes up and he goes to each of their homes, killing each one of them. I love the kind of gag that all 3 of them are watching Cisco Kid, the old Cisco Kid show, which is kind of a wink to the next story, the good story. Which, by the way, when you cut down from 5 stories to 3, When all 5 stories in the first movie are great, and only one of your 3 stories in this movie are even watchable, it's like, yeah, it's a really shitty movie. Anyhow, moving on. So yeah, Chief Woodenhead used bow and arrows to kill Fatso in his trailer, which is a nasty ass trailer. Then gets Rich Boy in his garage, chopping up with a tomahawk after fucking up his Firebird, and finally grabs Pretty Sam in his place, pulling him through the wall, RoboCop style, and scalping him. Since his, he was very vain about his hair throughout the whole movie. I mean, very, very, very telegraphed that the wooden Indian was gonna scalp this guy. It was really obvious that's what they were doing. The story ends with the old man waking up with the jewels back, going back to the mom and pop place to see what the hell is going on, and seeing old Chief Woodenhead standing there where he's always been, but now holding a recently severed scalp. It's a kind of a stupid story, but it's nice to see, George Kennedy and Dorothy Lamour are good in it, and the kid who plays Pretty Sam is really good in it too. I didn't remember the cast names because this movie's not worth remembering shit too. Anyhow, the second story, middle story, is The Raft, which is genuinely when I was younger and getting into my whole Stephen King era. It was one of my favorite Stephen King stories. I think this is done faithful. The ending kind of comes out of nowhere. I like how the story ends better than the movie ends story better than how the short story ends. And it just feels cheap. But but it's basically 4 college students going out to an abandoned, a closed lake right before, right in the middle of fall. It's like a week, like in the late September, early October, something like that. And right before it starts snowing and everything like that, they're going to go swim. This is cold as hell. They get out there, swim out to the raft, and they realize like this big hunk of sludge that's out there. Eventually, the sludge reaches out blob style, grabs one of the girls, and eats her, devours her. And they realize this thing's a monster. They don't know what to do. One of the dudes gets grabbed by being pulled through the plank, which is gnarly in the movie, but in the short story, like one of the most gruesome things I think I've ever read. If not the douchebag second final guy literally sleep rapes the other girl. And while she's down there, asleep, she's exposed and gets eaten by the monster. And he uses, while she's being eaten, to try to escape. He gets to the shore, but the thing just reaches over and grabs him and drags him back in. The story ends with hearing the monster burp while the camera pans over and you see no swimming sign. It's easily the only thing worth watching in the whole fucking movie. But it's just like how I rushed through it. The movie rushes through its only good story. The third and final story is a woman who's cheating on her husband with a gigolo, who's late to getting home, and on her way home runs over a hitchhiker, pulls a hit and run, and leaves his dead body. As we see a couple of pedestrians pull up after she leaves, trying to help the man, but he's long dead. But they're gonna wait for the ambulance. And they're gonna shut down the road because there's a dead man in the fucking street. You know what I mean? Have some decency. So she's trying to escape, trying to get home. She is haunted by the ghost of the hitchhiker, constantly telling her, thanks for the ride. It's really stupid, frankly, because everything she does to him causes damage, and the body gets more and more broke down. It really doesn't do anything. Eventually she gets home, she thinks she hallucinated the whole thing, and he pops out from under her car and finally kills her. And then it turns out one of the pedestrians is like the first guy to stop and where what was going on was her husband that she was trying to beat home, that she had been cheating on. And he finds her dead, holding the dead hitchhiker's sign. It's stupid. It's really, really stupid. And the whole thing, I should point out, is formatted around a pretty decent animated sequence of a teenage boy who's being bullied by a giant Venus flytrap that he plants in a nuclear waste dump, that and then lures the boys there so they can be eaten by the giant Venus flytraps. The cartoon is fun, the raft is fun, and everything else about this movie is absolute trash. It doesn't have the photography, the effects, or the music, or just in any way the love that the original Creepshow had. The truth is, this movie did not deserve a retro review. In fact, I'll probably have to do another one later this month. Anyhow, I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and whatever you do, don't bother with Creepshow 2. I mean, yeah, sure, the best way to see the movie, to have your own opinion, have a proper opinion about a film, is to see it for yourself. That's true. But don't waste your time on Creepshow 2, and there will never, ever, ever be a retro review on Creepshow fucking 3. Anyhow, I'm Jake Davis, and I will catch you motherfuckers on the fly.